they gave me footballs. There was a little turf field in Titletown, USA, which is right by the stadium. So I'm out there literally punting, trying to stay ready for this workout with like 40 little kids playing backyard football, which was actually phenomenal. And it like brought me back to my youth. But
and you're in Green Bay over the holidays. It's definitely flurrying while you're punting.
Like, it's freezing cold. Like I don't have I don't have like any like the cold gear. I'm just out there freezing, but you have to stay ready. I can't just not punt for 6 days and then supposed to punt for this workout where it's like I'm on my last breath in the NFL. Like I need to perform at this.
The NFL stands for not for long.
Second down and goal from just inside the 2. Backs offset. Sharga and Armstead. Rollout. Walker still running out. Looks to the left. Wide open. Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards of him.
What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up.
Lofting corner the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
Too many words are left to say, so they get left behind. I can't let you go. I won't let you know. I'm drowning in your wine.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 8 of Not For Long Media. Again, we're bringing the juice again on a Monday night. The Masters just finished. March Madness finished 2 weeks ago. But first, before we get into anything, what's going on, Justin? How we doing?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, episode 8. I'm glad we figured out the numbering this time.
Yeah, we were spot on last time, but I said episode 7, and I thought we were wrong. Trey Burton. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you're just tuning into this one here, we're having Ryan Winslow on, punter for the Green Bay Packers. Philadelphia area native, went to LaSalle High School, went to Pitt, had a great career, started with the Chicago Bears, where him and I met, actually, even though we grew up 15 minutes from each other right down the road and went to rival high schools. So it was a really fun interview. It was very casual. We talked about his time at Pitt. We talked about, fun stuff in this area, the Philadelphia area that a lot of people that listen to the show are from. We talked about punting in the elements. We talked about how cool Green Bay is. I got a chance to play there this year, and he actually was in quarantine waiting for a workout, which is really cool stuff. Hearing him, he was away on Christmas this year in a hotel, not even know if he was going to make the team or not. He was trying out for the Packers, quarantining, not even know if he was going to make the team or not. So you guys will really like the Ryan Winslow interview. But before we go anything, I want to talk about our new sponsor, someone I'm extremely jacked up about, Cape May Brewing Company. Local in this area where I'm at in Cape May. But the nice thing about Cape May Brewing Company, I think from Harrisburg east in Pennsylvania, you can get their beer. The whole state of New Jersey, it's available. It's available in Delaware. Look up the store, Cape May Brewing Company website. Check out where you can find your beer. They have a tons. I got the Cape May Stout here. This is just my personal kind of what I have in the house. This isn't like I went out and bought it thinking, okay, they're sponsored now. No. Boat Ramp Champ, they partner with the Qualified Captain on Instagram, people that watch that. We got a little bit of everything. They have great IPAs. They have just, honestly, which I love this, the beer of the women, which is awesome. Women, for those that are listening that know what I'm saying. Shout out to Ange and Sydney. International Women's Day, the women of Cape May Brewing Company have designed and brewed a beer to celebrate the extraordinary accomplishments of women throughout the years. So pretty cool stuff, the Cape May Brewing Company. Awesome people. I've got to know the owner, Ryan Krill, real well. We're going to have Ryan on the podcast. This is the guy that started this in 2011. They've been voted best tasting room in the entire state of New Jersey. Hometown Hero Awards, their philanthropy. They are so involved with helping the Coast Guard down here. They just have an unbelievable place. They're up right next to the Cape May Airport. So they're right in town, 5 minutes from town. So I love what they do. They're great people over there. We're so excited to have them as a sponsor here and Not For Long Media. Cape May Brewing Company, check them out. Check out where you can buy it, where you can find it, how you can make a trip down here for the day and see what they're doing, all the COVID protocols. They have this awesome Brewtique, which is their boutique full of like shirts and hats. And you can go in there and just buy beer to go. You can go in there and get a drink and walk around. There's a self-guided tour, which you take yourself through while you're drinking your beer, and you get to learn about what they do in Cape May. Everything's local, which I love. Why not support local business? They do a great job. So shout out to Cape May Brewing Company. We are thrilled to have you guys as a sponsor, as friends of what we're doing here at Not For Long Media. The original Fudge Kitchen, we're going to keep it local. Jersey Shore, nothing better Fudge-wise. I'm struggling, Justin. Last year for Easter, I got a box. and I've been picking at it all week, and I finally finished the box. I don't want to tell Sydney. I'm going to tell her I threw out the box today, but I crushed the last piece of fudge right after the workout today. I said, well, hey, I just swam, lifted, ran. Why not? Like I can pound it down right now, so I'm going to do it. So the original Fudge Kitchen fudge, fantastic Easter gifts. Mother's Day is on the way, birthdays, summer holidays, stuff like that. It's the best. Send it to your friends. They ship it across the country. The original fudgekitchens.com. And then our friends at Wealth Advisory Services, Paul and Dave, we're giving away Wealth Advisory Services hats. They're sponsoring a $100 Amazon gift card post, which we'll get into, Justin, for those that tweeted at us who's going to win the World Series, and the two final people, they get a chance to win a $100 gift card from Amazon, courtesy of Wealth Advisory Services. So check out Dave, check out Paul at wealthadvisoryservices.com. A personal approach to managing your wealth. Check them out. I appreciate your guys' support. Cape May Brewing Company, the original Fudge Kitchen, Wealth Advisory Services, located in Doylestown, Bucks County. J.A., honestly, again, I think because I play football and I don't get to maybe enjoy the football season as a viewer, I think this is the most fun time of year in sports, and we got a lot of stuff going on.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be right up there. It was a great weekend to just hang out on your couch. The Masters is obviously the big one. Just Jim Nance, just hushed tones, that one bird that chirps directly into the microphone. I mean, it's the best.
The best. I got a nap on Saturday during the rain delay. It was about an hour and 15-minute nap from when the rain delay started and when it ended. It happens every year. You don't think you're going to be able to mimic the nap that you have, but it happens every time. It's the most consistent thing I've ever done in my life. Every single year I am napping during the Masters. I hope to go sometime. So if anybody listens and has a connection, please let us know. Justin and I would love to go, actually, both together. I'm going to speak for him, and we haven't even talked about this before. So what's going on in our This Just In segment for episode 8?
A little This Just In. 2021 Masters champion Hideki Matsuyama. I did my prep to get the last name pronunciation
I can see
correct.
That's good work.
He's the first Japanese male to ever win a golf major, and he shot 10 under. So that was kind of cool to follow over the weekend.
Yeah, it was. And how about the pressure on him? Everyone's saying, you're following on Twitter, you could see what everyone's saying. I get nervous playing in front of my family. I read a tweet from a player, and this guy's playing for his country. His caddy's bowing after the win. You see stuff in the morning today in Atlanta airport. A lot of us have traveled through Atlanta airport and know that struggle. It's a big airport, a lot of connecting flights. It's a grind, and he's walking around with a green jacket over his arm like he's just cruising down the street. It's a little too hot outside, and he takes the jacket off, and he's going to just throw it over his shoulder like it's nothing. It's just a rain jacket. So it was great, though. A lot of entertainment. Congrats to him. Justin Rose came out with a strong lead and had some meltdowns at times. Played pretty solid straight through. Jordan Spieth, it was good to see him find a rhythm. I know he didn't win, but a pretty good showing for someone that just won the Texas Open. Played a lot of golf the weekend before, but comes out and plays. Rose took some time off and played great. No. Was there anything big that happened this weekend? I was I was in and out, but what was the biggest thing other than obviously the victor?
Matsuyama was big. The caddy who bowed to the course, respect the course. If you don't have a golfer to root for, you can always just root for the course to swallow somebody's ball or get lost in the woods. That's what I like to do because I don't really have a guy. There's 10 Justins I feel like on the tour this year though. So you
Rose,
Thomas, So when in doubt, pick a Justin. But we got to talk about our guy Will Zalatoris.
Wow.
I mean, I think I might have botched the last name a little bit.
You're okay. I'm not going to be able to get it either. So great job.
Yeah. Zalatoris. He lost by a stroke. He was neck and neck with Matsuyama down the stretch there. And on Twitter, Adam Sandler pointed out the fact that Will looks like the character, his the caddy from Happy Gilmore looks exactly like Will Zalatoris. And he tweeted at him, and they look identical. That's just him grown up now, I think.
They went back and forth. I believe, did I see a tweet that he's got it ingrained on his one of his wedges? Thank you, Mr. Gilmore.
Mr. Gilmore.
Yeah. It's unbelievable how identical he is. And it was great. Good work out of Adam Sandler. And here's something that we're going to go off topic with. Someone said Adam Sandler is the most overrated actor of our generation. I think that's a bold take. I've enjoyed his movies. I mean, he's not Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks, right? But I don't think he wants to be in that category. I love The Longest Yard.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorite sports movies. Every time it's on, I'm sucked in watching it. What's your thought on that take?
He's awesome for what he is. Like,
Yeah.
he's not a critics guy. Like, the Rotten Tomatoes people hate him because, like, it's not his kind of comedy is kind of lowbrow, I guess, in their minds. But it's like comedy for the masses. You put on Grown Ups and you just laugh your ass off. I think like that's what Adam Sandler is. He's not going to win any Oscars anytime.
Do we have a problem in our society just not taking things for what they are and appreciating? Like the whole LeBron James thing is like, he's not Jordan. Well, how about we just enjoy the fact that like this guy is 38 years old and he's hurt, but he never gets hurt. Like this is the second time in his career he's like missing over 10 games in a season. That's not a real stat, but like the Brady stuff, like finally people don't hate Tom Brady. Like I think Eagles fans do a little bit and some people do, but it's like,
I don't
really hate him. Like I play against him. I don't hate him. I respect the shit out of him. Like you got to just enjoy it. Let's enjoy it. So I'm getting off the rails here, but the Adam Sandler comment, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of enjoy some of his movies. Take it for what it's worth. Yeah, he's not an all-time great, but I think he is in a way. He's made a lot of great movies over the years that are very solid. So kudos to him. Anything else on this Justin this week? Oh, we want to touch on a little bit of the NHL trade deadline, correct?
Yeah, I know that Boston traded for Taylor Hall from Buffalo. Buffalo had a little bit of a fire sale there. I think Taylor Hall is good. And then the Capitals traded for Anthony Mantha.
Used to be. Yeah, so the Caps traded for him. They traded for Michael Raffl from the Flyers, a good fourth line guy who's been with the Flyers, I think, for 8 years. I've listened to the Flyers GM Chuck Fletcher's press conference. He thanked Raffl for his time, and the Flyers didn't do a whole lot. They're just a bore fest and not losing losing bad games right now. It's a shame because they have a ton of talent. I'm a huge NHL guy. I love it. I love everything about it. I enjoy the podcast surrounding it. I watch NHL Network every morning. I really love the game. And there's just so much going on. The trade deadline was fantastic this year, I thought, in a way, because there's a cap that did not raise. Right. Just like the NFL, it lowered. The cap is staying the same. You can't like just trade big deals. Here's another thing. If you want to go play in Canada or you're going to trade for a player in Canada, they have to quarantine minimum. I think it used to be 2 weeks, but now it's 7 days for NHL players because they've been in bubble settings.
Yeah.
So you're not getting a player for a week. Plus the player hasn't worked out in a week. Like it's very interesting this year. Not everybody that's going to be listening to this is an NHL fan, but I'm an NHL fan. The Islanders traded for 2 players from the Devils that are really good. I love Hall going to Boston. They're slumping a little bit, and so are the Flyers. So it's kind of kept the Flyers in it a little bit. They beat them the other night in regulation, which was big. And then Flyers laid an egg this Sunday, to Buffalo. I like Dubnyk, going to play goalie, backing up Grubauer, who's a former Caps goalie in Colorado.
Yeah.
Jeff Carter going to the Penguins. A lot of Flyers fans are freaking out about that. He's been gone for the Flyers now for 10 years. I think that's okay to be a Penguin. And Flyers could have went and got him too. Didn't cost them a lot of money. Cost them a draft pick. And then the Penguins have the cap space for it. The Flyers don't. So I'm not going to bore everyone with the NHL talk. If anybody wants some NHL talk, they can hit whatever. We could talk separately because I know everyone's not an NHL fan and we're going to get it over the Ryan Winslow interview. But one other thing about the NHL, I noticed this today. If you go on ESPN, NHL Live, not NFL Live, ESPN2 had NHL Live trade deadline updates. So now the NHL is, there's a contract coming next year.
Yep.
The NHL will not be on NBC Sports anymore. I think a little bit maybe, but the majority of it will be on ESPN, which is really cool. And I noticed that today they're starting to pump it up a little bit. So
bring back Gary Thorne.
Why did they let him go in Baltimore?
It was like, I think he wanted too much money, and the new guy they got, Scott Garceau, is a local radio guy, and I guarantee he's taking less money to be the play-by-play guy now. Man, I don't know. It just, they got rid of like the Masson thing, like Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. There's like a dispute going on. And so like they're tied up in legal, whatever. And so they're trying to slash costs. And it made me sad for like a decent amount of time because they let him go. They let Jim Hunter go. They let a whole bunch of other broadcasters go. So yeah, that part wasn't great, but Gary Thorne's a free agent. And I really hope I went back and listened to some of his old YouTube calls, like Gretzky. Fantastic. And some of the 90s stuff. It was amazing.
When I hear Gary Thorne's voice, I think of like Madison Square Garden, Mark Messier, old Flyers games, and just like awesome. I think they'll bring it back. The NHL's got great hockey personalities. John Butchergross, awesome follower on Twitter if you're into hockey. Linda Cohn, obviously Barry Melrose. So they have really strong people that are going to draw it in. Scott Van Pelt has never ignored hockey, even though, it's not pushed or covered by the network. He always covered the Caps and talked to Caps and OV. So yeah, they have 5 or 6 really strong people. Add Gary Thornton to that, add some people that maybe probably going to leave NBC Sports and come over to ESPN and call games, who they have a ton of great guys doing it. So yeah, that's our NHL segment for the year there, folks. Sorry about that. And I don't care. I love it. And I wish we could talk about it more. So anything else on this just in? We had the Masters, a little NHL trade deadline talk. We talked to Adam Sandler. Anything else?
I mean, did you want to do the World Series? I know we have that going on.
Yeah. So I'm not going to run down the list of it, but essentially I picked the Dodgers to beat the Yankees because I'll never pick the Yankees to win. I went with chalk, but I just think they're going to find a way to get it done. There's too much money. There's way too much firepower there already. Mm-hmm. And they're going to find a way to get it done because both of those teams want to win again and they have the trade deadline and all that stuff to make it happen. So who did you pick?
I have White Sox and Dodgers, and I have the Dodgers beating them. I'm not going to pick the Yankees to go deep into the postseason. I know their starting pitching is not very good, and Judge and Stanton can't stay healthy the entire year. So I don't think they're going to get there, but I think LA's that's the consensus. I think you have to go with them.
I just think the Yankees, excuse me, nice voice crack there. I think the Yankees are just going to pay their way. Like they're done. Like they can't. Last year they got knocked out right early, they didn't even make it.
No, they made it to the playoffs. I think they made it to the championship series. I don't know. I think it's one of the two. But yeah, they didn't make it to the World Series.
Yeah. Well, you know a whole lot more about baseball than me. I didn't want to ask you who to pick because you would have, you could have told me Phillies, they're hot. But the Phillies, they'll be good and they'll be competitive, which will make it really awesome for the summer to watch them. And throughout the early part of the NFL season to watch them, which is fun. They'll get in the playoffs. They'll be scrappy, but I don't know. I don't know if they have enough depth to be good, especially in the pitching situation. But they're pitching okay though. They're hitting okay too. Well, is that it, Jay? We through, brother?
Yeah, I think that's all I have.
All right. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate another episode of This Just In. Guys, I think you're really going to enjoy the Ryan Winslow interview. He's a great guy, great friend, someone that I've been able to long snap to in the off seasons as well and keep my long snapping sharp as one of the backup long snappers. Not this year, but we will moving forward. And I have in the past snap with him. I played with him in the AAF. I did not play with him in the XFL, I believe, but he's been around all over. He's a grinder. He's a guy who sacrificed a ton to make it and really, truly a great guy. But before I go, guys, shout out to Cape May Brewing Company. Check them out online. Their social media is fantastic. Like I said, they just paired up with the Qualified Captain. They have a lot of cool social media stuff. They have great clothing. Check out the Boutique when you guys stop by. And again, if you're Jersey, Philly, Delaware, you can buy it. So they do a great job. I love their IPA. I love their new beers. They constantly come out with new beers. They have like a Corona type flavor to the tan limes one. They have an orange crush one for you Maryland folk. I love orange crush like I do myself. They have an orange crush beer, which is fantastic. Put that over ice. It's awesome. So they do a great job, Ryan and the gang over at Cape May Brewing Company. Check them out. Original Fudge Kitchen, ship fudge across the country. No better gift on Mother's Day than the original Fudge Kitchen. And then our guys at Wealth Advisory Services, Dave, Paul, first class approach really to managing your wealth, and it's personalized and they truly care. And they're guys that I've been lucky enough to work with. So shout out to you guys, wealthadvisoryservices.com, the original Fudge Kitchen, Cape May Brewing Company. This does it for the Just In segment, our little opening segment to the Ryan Winslow podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Are you verified now?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's big. They see that.
Yeah, are you verified yet?
Big time. No, I got denied. I tried to get it and I was denied.
Well, we're going to just start the podcast right here and we're going to keep that part in. So why are you not verified?
I don't know. So when I was a rookie in Chicago, the people I guess like the marketing team told me, or I guess everybody applied to get verified, right? And I just never did. I got verified on Twitter, not on Instagram. And I'm not huge on the social media anyway. But then this past off season, I'm like, okay, let me start to try to post more and like, see what's out there in the social media world. So I applied to get verified on Instagram, just like went to settings, went to try to get verified. And I put my occupation as athlete. And then like 5 days later, I got an email from Instagram saying like, your profile did not meet the standards to get verified. So here I am, no blue mark.
Well, so I got my blue mark in Chicago too. So the current marketing people that I'm working with at Elevate, the gentleman I'm working with, he used to work with Trey Burton at another company. And that's how I got back with the people at Elevate. But he was like, listen, I can help you if you get activated, but if you're not activated and up on the roster, I don't know if I can really help you, but we'll see how it goes. Just, send me your Instagram handle and I'll see if I can help you get verified. The next day I woke up, I was verified. I was like, let's go, man. Let's go. So I have some pull, and not like, oh, look at me, I'm verified. Like I don't have a great following, but it's really helped us with the podcast, and not for long. Like it's really helped us get it. That's how I met probably lead singer of Iration, who's the music of our podcast now. Doug Ellen, creator of Entourage, who was on.
Yeah, we need to get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, he's our highest rated one so far. So, and when you say get into it, did you listen? Do you like it?
I did. Yeah, it was phenomenal. That's like my favorite show. I've watched it 5 times through. It's awesome.
Easily. Like I know all the one-liners. Like we brought like for the wedding, we got a registry going and all this stuff. It's through Amazon, so stuff's just showing up at the house. Like you go on now. Obviously, you haven't got me anything for our wedding yet, or it would have showed up already. But that's fine. I don't need anything.
It's like still 2 months out. Come on, give me a break.
Listen, it is what it is. So, as I was saying, there was a La Crusette or whatever, like a cast iron pan or skillet that came up, and my favorite is one, I forget the episode, but it's when Dom comes back from jail.
Okay.
And Dom cooks breakfast for the boys, and he comes down naked and he's cooking breakfast, and Drama like grabs the La Crusette pan from him and he says, "Get off my La Crusette, bro." And that's like my favorite quote. So I was saying it to Sydney for like 24 straight hours when we got the pan. We get off my La Crusette, bro. So the one-liners are good. That's probably the only one I could share on the show. So many
little one-liners.
Yeah.
True.
On the golf course.
I know we talked about the calves or pipes. Look at these pythons.
Look at these pythons. He's got the Drama's dating the bodybuilder, and she comes into she comes down and she flexes for the guys and they all get nervous. Yeah, it's unreal. Doug was great though. Like Doug is just a great guy who loves to eat and have a good time, and just an interesting cat. And he's super successful in their podcast now. Are you listening to Victory, the podcast?
I was going to say, I've seen snippets. I haven't listened to a full one yet, but I know he's having some of the guys from the show on, and they're reminiscing and talking about like one snippet I saw was like, I guess Joe Pesci came one day when they were filming, and that was like a big deal. Ari Gold, I guess, was like, had one of his classic freakouts, and I guess Joe Pesci loved it. But yeah, that just them talking about like the experience and the behind the scenes and how it's like such a cool, like friendly vibe there. Like, I think that whole aspect was awesome just because the show, like that's what the show portrayed, but then in real life also that's kind of what was going on behind the scenes. So I thought that was like awesome insight.
No doubt. And that's what we're trying to do, right? That's why I got the podcast. That's why every athlete wants to have a podcast or any career outside of it. And that's why there's value, because with anything you do, in my opinion, people want to know more about their passion. Like I love hockey. I love the NHL. So I listen to Spit and Chicklets on Barstool all the time, nonstop. I listened to the whole episode that came out yesterday morning in 2 days, and I love the show, and it's what I do to kill time and what I listen to. But if I could provide, and I think with this podcast, I said, okay, let me find a way to tell more of my story, but through my friends around the league, around the business, not just football, but like I'm into a bunch of different things. So we've had actors, we've had comics on, how about Sean Latham? You listen to that one? $20 Chef.
$20 Chef.
What a legend.
He's my guy.
He's your
awesome.
guy? You know him personally, or he's just my
No,
guy?
I don't know him personally. I think he's hilarious, and I miss him putting out like cooking videos. I used to follow some of his grilling recipes. He's
you hitting the grill?
Yes.
We're still waiting on our Traegers, though. We're still waiting on our Traeger grills.
I see you smoking some stuff every once in a while. With the big green egg. That's not a Traeger, though, right?
No, it's a big green egg. We're getting the gentlemen of Pro Star Sports have been grinding for us, and they're hooking us up with the Traeger through the NFL, which is very nice of them.
Wow. Well, I'm sure. I don't know if I'm big time enough to get that freebie, but we'll see. We'll have to hit up our guys.
Well, we'll work into it, and I've already gone through the intro with Ryan Winslow, but we just been kind of BS and having a good time here. But Ryan and I go back really to high school, but we never really knew each other on a personal level. We knew of each other. Both players that left our area, Bucks County, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Ryan went to LaSalle High School, and I went to the rival high school at Archbishop Wood, and I went to Florida, and Ryan went to Pitt. And then we circled back through my second stop in the NFL with the Chicago Bears, and Ryan signed an undrafted free agent with the Chicago Bears. And we met in camp and had an absolute ball together. And that was a good time. But I mean, that was probably the last time. Well, we played golf a couple times together, but other than that, but that's the nice thing about the where we live in today. We're allowed to stay in touch. So
yeah, absolutely. FaceTime, and hey, AAF too. Shout out the Alliance.
Dude, you got to shout out the Alliance.
Yeah. And Memphis Express, one of our few wins against the Birmingham Iron.
Johnny
in overtime.
Manziel,
Was that the Johnny football comeback party?
Was that the game when you snapped the ball, you dropped the ball, and you guys lost the game too?
No, that was actually the week after, so it wasn't against you guys. But luckily, the league folded 2 days after, so people forget.
Yeah, you're like, perfect. Just scrap that tape. So Johnny Manziel comes out of wherever he was, CFL, I think. I think he was in Hamilton.
Maybe even the spring league.
Yeah. And he comes out of that league, jumps into Memphis, and we were like rolling. We were a solid team, did a lot of good things. Our defense was really good, and we could run the ball. We had Trent Richardson. And, Johnny Manziel comes in the game in the third quarter. We're up 3 scores. We're walking away with this thing. You know, everyone's dialed in to get back to Birmingham and go out to the 1 or 2 places we go back out at Birmingham. And, Johnny Manziel came in and led you guys back. And I was going crazy on punt when you were out there. So I run out there. I tried out in the field. You could tell this story. You know better. I'm screaming and yelling, but what happened on the sideline? You remember when the long snapper came up to you? Yeah, my long
snapper. That's right. First off, I've never even heard this noise ever. It was like some sort of like banshee cry. I'm like, what is that? Of course, it's nutbag Colin out there. But so, yeah, we trot back to the sideline, and my snapper, Ryan Navarro, is one of my buddies now. He's like, yo, did you hear that? Who was that? And I'm like, oh, that's my guy, Colin, just trying to get in my head. We go back. So
yeah.
That was a good time.
I went out there. I was like, yeah. Started screaming. And I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'd never done it in my life. And now I do it quite frequently, and it fires me up a bit. So I appreciate you for letting me do that. Well, let's talk about the AF. Let's get into that grind.
Sure, yeah.
You started, I was at home. Let's back this up. Yes. Okay, the first game of the AAF season, I'm at home. We decided the best thing, I wasn't going to pursue the league until we feel what's going on. Mm-hmm. We thought I'd be able to sign a futures. I did not sign a futures with anybody. And I'm watching the first game, and you are you're punting for Arizona, dropping bombs. I believe we're in San Antonio.
San Diego. Playing for San Diego in San Antonio. That's correct.
And then take us through like your first couple games and what happened after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I have to preface it too. I was in a similar situation like you. That winter, I decided not to pursue the AAF and I actually enrolled. At the time I was finishing up my MBA, I actually enrolled full time, taking like 12 credits to finish up my MBA that semester. So I was basically all locked in. And then last minute, Warren and the guys kind of said, "Hey, there's an opportunity in San Diego." Their punter was Australian, and something happened with his visa. He got deported. They really need a guy, and they want you to come out and go to training camp and like basically be the guy. So I weighed this for like 3 days and ultimately decided, okay, let's go out to training camp. So I go to training camp. I'm still actually, I didn't withdraw from my classes. I'm still kind of like playing both sides of the fence, I guess, just to see what happens. So I'm in San Antonio for training camp for like, what was it, maybe 2-3 weeks, I think. And so then it ends. And then, I guess there were cuts and I make the team. So then at that point, I messaged my advisor, "Hey, I had already told him that I was, possibly going to go the football route. And I told them that I need to withdraw from my classes. I'm going to, play in this league for the winter." So everything's good. I play in the first game. I think we played San Antonio. We lost, but I had a good game. I did solid, and we fly back. The next day I wake up with a missed call from the GM. Anytime you have a missed call from like a scout or a GM, automatically it's like, okay, not good. Like either you're getting cut or something's up. So I already had that feeling in my stomach, like, okay, something's up. So I go in, the guy has like the most disappointed look on his face. He's like, "Hey, some crazy stuff has happened. We actually got the kid from Australia back. We paid for his visa. We paid like 5 G's to get him back in the States to work for us. So basically, because we did that, we have to release you." So I'm like, oh my gosh. A week before, I just withdrew from my MBA classes, like my final semester. I just do well, and then you cut me. So of course I'm like, oh my gosh, now I got to scramble and figure out what the heck I'm going to do. Then I think I stay in San Diego for 2 days, just kind of figuring out, fuming. Of course, I'm like so pissed at the time. I go back to Pittsburgh to kind of lick my wounds and like figure out what the heck's going on. And then I guess fast forward 2 weeks later. So week 2 goes by, the AAF, week 3 goes by. Warren and the guys call and say, "Hey, Memphis wants to bring you down for a workout." So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll have another shot. So I go down to the workout, do well. The GM there is actually the father of one of my Pitt teammates, Ryan Lewis. His name's Will Lewis. He's a great guy. He was a scout. I think he was a player, personnel director for the Chiefs for years. Super nice guy. Ryan's awesome guy too. He's bounced around the league, but
and his brother Tim Lewis,
yes, was
our head coach.
Correct.
And even more Tim Lewis and Will Lewis trivia. They both went to Penridge High School, and Tim sat behind my mom in homeroom.
That's right.
So that's why we bounced around as kids. I wasn't an Eagles fan. We went to Giants games and Steelers games, and we supported Tim. So Tim was like a hero of mine growing up, and then I got to play for him in Birmingham. It was pretty cool. So continue though. Will Lewis. Will's great too.
Yeah. Not to keep dragging on the story, but basically do well at that workout and get signed to Memphis, end up having a great experience in the AAF, had a great kicker and a great snapper, Austin McGinnis, who's another pro star guy, and then Ryan Navarro, 2 of my buds now. Had a great experience there, ended up doing super well in that. I think I led the league maybe in gross and net average, and that helped me have a couple workouts and helped me get out to Arizona that following year. So, I had a great experience in the AAF. I thought it was a blast. So I'm fortunate that it all worked out for me.
Yeah, and you guys didn't even practice in the AAF though, so I know why it was a blast for you guys. No, Coach, it's enough time passed where we could talk about your.
You know how specialists practice.
We won't get into that. I'm going to deflect based off your reaction there. All right, so
yeah.
Well, let's bring it into that. The specialist practice. I mean,
yeah, we can. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we sat down and we played Memphis the night after, but the night before we flew in and we're off for dinner and meetings were at 9 to 9:30, something quick the night before the game. So yeah. I met Austin and Ryan, and we grabbed the pizza somewhere there in Memphis. And whatever, long story short, he's like telling me their practice schedule. I'm like, what is this? So what were you guys doing in Memphis? Because I know it was a little bit different. And again, people that don't understand, someone that may not understand, we go out and practice for 2.5 hours. The specialists could be only used in the first 2 periods of the day, and then the day's over for them. So we'll start there. But what were you guys doing in Memphis?
Absolutely. So I guess we need to preface this by saying, like, I don't know how it was in Birmingham, but Memphis, like in terms of like the facilities and like the amenities, it's definitely not even close to like the NFL standard, or even furthermore, like college standards. Like my college locker room and like food and like everything was so much better than the AAF. It was basically like bare bones functionalities for us in Memphis. So we would practice at these like random places. One time it was like a school and like a little elementary school. There was a turf field we practiced. There was like barbed wire fences. I don't think we were in like the best neighborhood. Other times it would just be a random grass field, like in the parking lot right outside the Liberty Bowl where we played. So just like the whole practice, I guess, scene was interesting. But then actually what we did in the AAF, I mean, I think a normal practice week, I would punt twice a week. We would maybe have 2 field goal periods, but then, that's what, a 7-minute period. Other than that, you have to warm up and and hold for me. So other than that, catch a ton of hand snaps from Ryan. He would want to get like perfect 10 laces on field goal snaps. I'd hold for Austin. And then the rest of the time we would just like hang out, kind of BS with each other, BS with some of the guys on the team. The AF was definitely like very laid back. I don't know if you had the same vibe, but definitely laid back.
Yeah, it was definitely a laid back vibe. I enjoyed it. We worked in Birmingham and we had a good facility because we were all in.
What did you guys use?
We used the old Gray Lady there, the old Iron Bowl, I believe it was, where Birmingham, I forget. Of course, I'm probably drunk.
UAB?
It was right down the street from UAB. UAB played there. I'm trying to think. It's where the Birmingham Bulls played. Of course, I forget it now, but it was the old Gray Lady. That was the nickname of it. We practiced and played in there. The turf was brutal, but the facility was, listen, it was unique. Like there was no doors on the stalls. Like if you had to go to the bathroom, like someone was literally right across from you about 5 yards away. It was like, and people were, if you were a young-minded person, you would struggle with it. That's the same thing when I said with the XFL. Like, and the XFL was definitely a nicer experience in that regard. But still, like if you're young-minded, you're going to be struggling. You're going to say, I don't have X, Y, and Z, instead of like, hey, I've been on the street. Like you and I have been literally out of football for periods of time, up to a year plus, and you still got to go out and perform at a high level. So it was unique in that sense. And I never took a day for granted. And I really, truly corny, I know, but like glass half full as much as possible with all of it, because if not, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. My Birmingham Iron story. So like I said, I'm training for futures. I am helping my mom open a department store in our hometown. She's in merchandising and sales and has 12 different retail stores, all different kinds.
Absolutely. Plug it. What is it? Fox and
Holly.
Fox and Holly. That's right.
Fox and Holly. Now they moved back to Peddler's Village, right in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I'm from. LSL Brands is her deal, is her company. And she's got a bunch of different ones. So no free ads. So I ended up, so I'm working for her. I'm running the marketing media department for pretty much the entire company. And then this Fox and Holly store, which is a really big store, double the size of her company. So I'm doing that. And we're going to go with some friends to Annapolis over the weekend, Annapolis, Maryland. It's not too far where we're from, couple-hour drive. And we love it down there. We have a great time. So we go out with some friends the night before. It was a Saturday. And then Sunday we were staying as well. I think it was definitely a holiday in January, February. I forget what it was, but we were off. My friends were off work the next day. So we went to the Guinness factory and had a couple Guinnesses, had a couple Guinness. Today is National Beer Day too.
Interesting.
And it's my last day I can say Guinness, because we have a beer sponsorship coming up pretty soon. Yeah, big time. We're going to be making the announcement
Who?
today. I can't
Okay,
say.
can't say.
Well, I
yet.
can say now because this is going to be coming out next Tuesday. So,
Say it.
K-May Brewing Company,
Yes.
shout out.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah, big time,
Good
man.
for
We're
you.
excited. Yeah, so today's National Beer Day. Well, they won't. I'm not even going to explain it on here because it's going to be out already. I'm
Sure.
fumbling. Don't let me fumble, Colin. So, this is the crazy part about the AAF. So, I am sitting there, just finished the second beer, and we're getting ready to like Uber back to where we were and get some dinner and just lay low. Nothing crazy is going on. And I get a text from an old recruiting coordinator at Florida. Like he was there for a year, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And he texted me and he said, "Are you in shape?" Huh. I was like, "Yeah, of course I am. I've been training crazy for the last, I don't know, X amount of time since you and I got cut from the Bears that following August, September."
Yeah. So it's like what? Almost 6 months at that time?
Yeah, 5-6 months. And
5,
I
6
was like,
months.
just, coming to really at an end there. And you've been there, I'm sure, too, where you're just training and you're like, I haven't got a call. I haven't got anything. Our agents aren't saying anything. It's the same conversation every week. And you're like, what is going on?
Sure.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm in shape. What's going on? He's like, call me. He pick up the phone. I walk out of the Guinness factory. It's like pouring rain, but it's like the only place it was quiet. And like, I could sound professional at least and not hear like people like drinking in the background. So I step outside and he's like, "Hey man, we're really short on tight ends in Birmingham." I'm like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I'm in Birmingham. I'm with the Iron." I'm like, no way. And I lost touch with him. I haven't talked to him in like 2 or 3 years. And he's like, "Listen, come in. You got to compete for the job against some kid here in a workout." And great guy, John, he ended up coming back onto the team and I won the workout, but flew down like 3 days later, like after a pretty good weekend out and having some good time. So yeah, it was a heck of a good time. And that was a long time ago now. It feels like forever, but I ended up going down there and playing like the first week. We were in Atlanta like a week later. At least I was activated and then I played 2 weeks later. So
Yeah.
there were some crazy AF stories.
Oh yeah. And I, not to like just dive into stories, but something similar happened to me, but in the NFL. So I'm with Arizona in training camp and preseason in 2019. Do pretty well there. And I'm getting cut after the last preseason game. Have a workout with the Bills right after with like a couple other guys. I think, if somebody did well at that workout, I think the Bills would have signed one of us, but unfortunately nobody did well. So I ended up sticking with their guy. So I get cut. Then like three weeks later, nothing's going on. My boy Brian O'Neill plays for the Vikings. He's like, "Hey, come out for a weekend. We have another buddy out there who we played with." So I go out there for the weekend and have like a great time. Do you know what I mean? They end up having a big win over the Raiders. We're all out Sunday night with like he and his teammates and then, a bunch of people. So we're having a great time. I get a text from Warren Sunday night at like 11. He's like, "Hey, FYI, Andy got hurt." Andy, who is the veteran punter in Arizona, got hurt earlier that day in the game. So Arizona wants to sign me to the practice squad to see what his deal is. So I'm out at the bar, like not going crazy, but we're celebrating my buddy's win. So we're having a good time. And immediately just like, all right, I got to lock in. So I guess that would be Monday. The next day I fly home to Philly. My dad meets me at the airport, brings me a bag with like cleats and some other things that I need. And I fly right out to Arizona that Monday night, end up getting signed to the practice squad that Tuesday. They activate me on Saturday and I play my first regular season game that Sunday. So crazy how it happens. Like I'm not even in, which is wild because
I'm trying not to laugh so hard. I'm not trying not to laugh
seriously,
so hard.
But at the time, you know how it is. You're 4 weeks into the season. You have no calls. You have nothing going on. I'm like, yeah, I would love to go see some of my buddies and have a good time with them. And a week later, I'm playing in the NFL, like against the Seahawks, punting to Tyler Lockett. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy, but that's how it works in like the type of world we're in when you're kind of on the street like that. So it's wild. It really is.
So to clear up a few things, Warren Schmidt is one of our 3 agents at ProStar Sports that Ryan and I are both represented by. So And yeah, so I don't know where to start with that story. I mean, that is literally the definition of being on the street, being on the couch. And Ryan and I have had a similar career in that aspect. This was like my first sniff of the NFL this year. And it was unreal to finally like have a purpose and be on a team and really be able to contribute. You know, there's one thing to be on the practice squad and how amazing that is. I mean, it's some of my best times because I haven't had that much time in this unbelievable league that we're both so fortunate to play in. But to literally get that text at 11 o'clock at night, put down your drink, order water, wake your parents up at midnight. It's 11 o'clock Central Time or whatever Minnesota's in, and say, yo, Pops, I need a bag and I'm going to fly in, leave the airport, check out of security, get my stuff, go back through security, get on a flight to Arizona, and I haven't punted in probably 5 days, 6 days, and now I need to go punt an NFL game.
Yes.
I mean, it happens all the time. Crazy story. Another one. We could tell these stories all day, which I love, and that's why I want to have you on, because this is the stuff that no one really talks about. They see like our Instagram pictures, but that's not really real what happened. So I have a couple of them, but one of them, I was at the New York Giants mini camp the week before, and I did okay, but didn't get signed. You know, we're on the list there, and all the stuff that you and I have both heard. And that was my second run around with the Giants, and didn't get signed. So it's Thursday, and all the mini camps are full for the next weekend. Usually the rookie mini camps, and I could go to a rookie mini camp because I don't have an accredited NFL season at the time. For those that don't know what that means, if you get 3 NFL games, active, dressing, or inactive, but you're on the active roster, you get a credited season. This year, if you were on the active roster for 1 week and/or the practice squad, I believe for week 1, you got a credited season. Did you get a credited season this year, Ryan?
I don't know.
We may have to get Pro Star Sports on here.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you did.
That's true.
But I think it was week 1. The practice squad guys were on. They got a credited season. 3 credited season leads to your pension. Blah blah blah. So there's a lot of benefits to it when it comes to like retirement. So I'm going to another rookie mini camp. I think, I went to the Giants rookie mini camp, went back up. Then the next week it's Thursday, and you fly out Thursday for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday rookie mini camp. Usually, it's Thursday afternoon. It's like 5:30. So I'm not going to rookie mini camp. We're going to an Iration concert, the music of this podcast, at Asbury Park in New Jersey. I said, all right, Sid, I'll wait till Thursday night, 5 o'clock. After that, we're good. Like, I'm not going anywhere. So let's go. We'll go to the concert. We'll get a VRBO, spend the night up there, have a nice time. I got to know the guys from Iration already through social media, through the blue check mark that we just talked about. And they said, listen, we'll hook you up with tickets and have a great time. No problem. Text your friends. So text a couple of her girlfriends, a couple of my buddies. We're going to go up and go to Belmar, Asbury Park there, and actually at the Stone Pony and watch one of our favorite bands. So all's good. 5:30, 6 o'clock rolls around. My phone starts exploding. Like, what is going on? Warren, our agent, says, listen, I think you may be going to New Orleans. Just stay ready to go. So he's like, just start packing a bag. So I start packing a bag for New Orleans. I'm like, what's going on in New Orleans? I look up, there's a mini camp this weekend. Okay, I'm going to go there. See what's going on. I don't know. My phone hasn't done. No one's told me like I have to get on a plane and go right now at 6 o'clock. Like, what do you mean? The camp starts like now. It's starting in New Orleans at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So fast forward, Warren calls me again. I believe Paul called me, our head agent. And then I believe the assistant GM of the New Orleans called me. He's like, Colin, get on the quickest flight you can. You got to come. We need you down here. Your agent got you into the mini camp. Shout out to Warren. One of the tight ends we brought in failed a physical. Okay. So there was a flight in 2 hours at Newark, which is like an hour and a half where I'm from. My dad was drop everything. Yeah. And I had this bag packed with like literally nothing in it and just nothing going on. Like just squatted so heavy that day. I remember like I did a crazy leg workout because I knew I wasn't going anywhere. I knew I wasn't getting any calls. So I just crippled my legs and ran a bunch and just did everything you wouldn't do before going to a mini camp. So I ended up pretty beating on my left body.
Yeah, we had to perform in front of and like try to get a spot.
Yeah. And so my dad wasn't home. I called him. He drove back like I'm like, we're rolling right now. I didn't have dinner or anything. I just packed like a mixed nuts jar and like anything I could grab, yogurt, bananas. Like that was my dinner. And I sprinted to the airport and made onto the plane. Like literally the door closed behind me. And I was soaking wet. I sat in some little middle seat and just like was tight and cramped. And again, the lower body. I ended up going to New Orleans, ended up playing the best I played in a really long time. And we had 2-a-day mini camps. So you have one in the morning and one at night. Yeah, it was interesting. And they were shorter, but they were 2-a-days. Yeah. So ended up doing well. Didn't get signed, but it like brought me back to life and like gave me more hope. And like, as you know, that little glimmer of hope and light is really all you need to keep going and grinding.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to think where we can navigate to next. I want to navigate to that picture behind you. Is that the picture? Is that it?
That's not. I'm still trying to track that down. That is either, I think that's a field goal earlier in that game, but that's not the game winner.
Yeah, because the game winner was dark out.
Correct. It was correct. Yes.
All right.
So I'm trying to track that down, but
yeah, well, maybe our folks at Not For Long Media can. We have some Pitt Panther fans on here, some Clemson fans. So
true.
Describe the game we're talking about. Describe where you're at, where Clemson's at, and kind of what happened throughout the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the game we're referring to is 2016. We went down to Death Valley to play Clemson. I think it was in November. They were ranked number 2 at the time and undefeated. We were coming off like a couple games skid. I think we were, like 4-3, something along those lines. We had a lot of talent, but we just weren't playing up to our potential. Our offense was unbelievable that year. I think we maybe had the most prolific offense in college football that year, but our defense, I think our pass defense was literally dead last. So in terms of like having a balanced team, we just were not balanced at all. So
who was the quarterback at Clemson at the time?
Deshaun Watson. Etienne's a freshman. They have Mike Williams. Who else was a stud? Oh, they had a pretty good middle linebacker like Scott.
No, they had all the defensive linemen like Shaq Lawson and all those guys.
Correct. Yeah. They had a great D line. I mean, they ended up going on to win the national championship that year. So yeah, we go down there basically like underdog mentality. Let's just shock the world, and ended up in an absolute like dog fight of a game. I think the final score was 43-42, and my boy Chris Blewett ends up kicking a 48-yard game-winning field goal with 6 seconds left, and just the game was just unbelievable. You couldn't make it up. Like, just so exciting. My snapper actually skipped one back to me that game. We had a punt out of the back of the end zone. Blewett actually didn't have the best game. He missed 2 field goals, and I think he even missed an extra point. So basically, to come to rally and to be able to lock in mentally for that game winner was super impressive in my opinion. To be able to, upset them in Death Valley. I don't think they had lost a game at home in 3 years. So just
that's
an unbelievable experience. So cool. Very fortunate that happened. Easily the highlight of my college career. One of the highlights of my college career.
What's Death Valley like when Clemson's running down the hill?
So I think we were in the locker room at that time.
Yeah, see,
because I feel I would remember that. I feel like I would remember that. I think they come out, and obviously everybody's going nuts. There's 80,000 in the stands, and I think we came out after. So we missed the jump, but from watching it on TV, that is one of the more special entrances in college football, I think.
It has to be number one. They're coming in on the bus, too. The bus is shaking. That's
Virginia
great.
Tech, I don't know. We played at Virginia Tech, and they come into Ender Sandman, and that's pretty electric. I know you played in the SEC, so you're used to some big time atmospheres. Big time.
I really
SEC
didn't
guy.
though. I really didn't though. The only time, I was able to experience Florida home games, which are
probably awesome.
It's awesome for how big the stadium is. I think it only seats. Everyone says 90, but I think it's 88,000.
Okay.
It's bedlam. It's crazy. It's so coordinated. the chants, the songs, the dancing. Now they're singing Tom Petty once Tom Petty died, and Tom Petty went to Gainesville High School and grew up in Gainesville and played all his music in Gainesville. So it's just crazy. So I was only there for the home games freshman year with a boot on,
Okay.
and a big beer belly, and just hanging out, and just like was a mess. And then sophomore year, I played home Toledo, away Miami, which was crazy. People were throwing beer bottles at our bus.
Really? Was that at Dolphin Stadium?
It was at Dolphin Stadium. We ended up losing, and we were really good that year. We were really good the year before. We lost a lot of guys, but had a lot of young promise. And then we had end up with 25 guys with torn ACLs, and a bunch of guys had to be medically redshirt. And that's when I was medically disqualified. But after Miami, I played at home against Tennessee. So I wasn't Mr. SEC. College, we played at Penn State, which was like 3/4 of a real stadium when we played there, because at the time we weren't that great.
Sure.
My senior year we were, but we weren't ranked as high.
I was at the Link though, right?
The Link was at home my junior year when we beat that. You know what?
Yeah,
we upset them.
That was a big. I was fired up for you guys.
You guys beat Penn State too. Your senior year,
2016. In 2016, at Heinz, yes.
Or not your senior year, your junior.
Yeah, my junior year. Yep.
So
and then we played them at Beaver, but then we lost in 2017.
So Coach Rule was a big name. Obviously, he's now a massive name. And when you guys beat Penn State, I'm like, we're going to go up to Penn State. We're going to beat them. He's going to lose to Pitt and Temple in 1 year, and he's going to get that job next year. So
hey, they turned it after we beat them. They absolutely turned it around. I think they ended up going to the Rose Bowl that year and were ranked top 10. I mean, I think they ended up losing to USC, but they basically, I think they went on to the Big Ten championship, maybe won that. Obviously, I think, they did. Did they win? They won that and went to the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, credit to Pitt for credit to the Pitt Panthers for kind of sparking the 2016 Penn State Nittany Lions for giving them a wake up call.
Get out of here. We lost to them by a touchdown, and then Saquon had nothing in the first half. I'm like, this guy's nothing, whatever. First play, the second half, he went like 50 yards of one play, like back-to-back plays. I think he had two touchdowns of back-to-back plays and lit us up, but I don't remember too much. So some college memories. We've talked a little bit about the AAF. We talked a little bit about just some time in between, but let's fast forward to now. You're a freaking Green Bay Packer, man.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? I mean, there's something about, we've played for some great organizations, don't get me wrong, but played for the Green Bay Packers. We played there this year, and it was so cool of a place to play, and the history, and it's something to be said.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of the most unique experiences I've had in football. And just everything about the organization is just first class. And I know, I think I talked about this before, but on a Listens podcast, but there's a standard there that is just you're supposed to win, and you're supposed to do the right things off the field. And basically they expect to be a Super Bowl contender every year. And I mean, I was only there for, 6 weeks. So this is a very shallow kind of experience, but nonetheless, I was around it every day. I got to be in the locker room with all the guys. So it's just a very first class organization. I think the first day I got signed, everybody already knew my name, the strength staff, the cooks, the equipment guys. I feel that just says a lot. I'm a practice squad punter, and they already know who I am. I'm basically nobody on that team. I thought that was pretty cool. And just how guys interact in the locker room, very college feel, where there's camaraderie, and everybody is, generally on the same page in terms of wanting to have team success, and, just a very, very cool experience. Very fortunate to, have a chance to go back and compete for a job there.
So I had Trey Burton on this previous podcast, and Trey and I spoke about how you always think the NFL is going to be this unreal place, and it is an unbelievable place, but not all organizations are ran the same, which I think is interesting. And like you said, Green Bay, first class. And I played for honestly all first class places. I've been very fortunate, but it's so interesting. If you think about like the business model of Green Bay, there's no owner. Everybody in that town owns the team. So everything gets put back on the team. I think that's just such an interesting thing. And I think that's maybe why they have been so successful in a way. It's like, it's just such a bought in approach. There's no other agenda in there. Do you agree, disagree, or maybe fill us in on what you think about, the town being so involved in the team?
Yeah, absolutely. And when I try to explain what Green Bay is like, it's just like small town USA. The airport is so small. Downtown is like 2 blocks. There's no high rises. The biggest structure in the city is Green. I don't even know if you can refer to Green Bay as a city, because like what we're used to, Philly or New York or Pittsburgh, something like that, it's not even, you can't compare the two. It's like a very small town, Midwest USA feel. And the Packers are basically, I want to say, the pride and joy of the area. Like, people just are bought in. Like, football is very important to them. And I think that the players there understand that. It's a kind of a privilege to play there, because you're playing for much more than, I guess, the team. It's like the whole entire area. It's like a culture. It's a environment that you're kind of, being thrust into, I guess.
It's almost like the Gator flag behind me when I see that. And again, I'm down here in my garage right now because we got some construction going around us, and this is the quietest place in the house. But like when I was in Gainesville, I'll never forget it. Now, this is a college, right? This is kind of expected in a small town, middle of nowhere. The campus is, the stadium's is the biggest part of the whole city. And without the campus, there's no city.
Yep.
And people are like throwing beers to you and like throwing you sandwiches and like inviting you into your tailgate. Like, for me to walk 5 blocks home took like 2 hours. Like, I literally couldn't get home. You see like all the people that you knew around town. And like when I hear like stories about people pull up to park in Green Bay, and you park in someone's front yard, and then you walk in their garage and watch like the pregame and eat meals. Like, that's incredible stuff. And just the town, I was able to walk around it when we played there. We stayed right downtown in that convention center. Yep. And I just wanted to get out and walk because it was a night game. And I love night games, but I need to like break the day up and like do something in the morning. I can't just like lay in bed all day. But talk to us about, this is not a normal year. You've done kicking workouts before for probably a dozen teams now. You fly in, you punt, you leave, or you stay. I've done it for half a dozen teams where you fly in, I hit the bag maybe 5 times, I run 10 routes, and then I get on a plane or I stay. And we've both been on the plane more than we stayed. I think that's fair to say, sadly, but that's just the nature of the business. But you stayed in Green Bay. Talk about the COVID process, starting with the call from our agents to getting signed.
Sure. So it's actually hilarious how it worked. So the whole fall, so I'm in Arizona training camp last year. There's no preseason, that. So I get cut. I go back to my parents' house, and all fall I don't have any workout. I have zero, nothing. So it's like November. It's like getting towards the mid-November, and I think we've mentioned this, but like it's hard to work out and like continue to kind of like stay in this mindset where there's literally nothing in the pipeline. Like, you're just doing this for no reason is what it seems like. So
how many years have we been in it now? 4, 5?
So yeah, this will be upcoming. This will be my 4th training camp. So like, this is not like you're fresh out and you're like excited. It's the NFL. At this point, it's like, okay, I need this to manifest into something, or I need to begin to like move on with my life and see what else is out there post football. So I'm completely at that stage mid-November of this past fall. I start interviewing places. I start, getting my resume out, trying to use my network to kind of position myself basically to hang the cleats up. So I tell Warren this. I'm like, hey, Warren, like, this is what he pitched me when we first sat down, and which is why I like them from the jump. He would never lie to me, and he would tell me straight up, like, what's going on. So I said, hey, you need to tell me straight up, like, am I staying ready for a purpose? Like, am I still going to get a shot, or is it time for me to move on? And he basically said, you need to stick it out. Like, you need to stick it out. So a week after that conversation, he calls me and says, hey, Green Bay wants to fly out for a workout. So it's funny how that happens. So I go out to sorry, this is long-winded, but getting back to like COVID this year for a workout. Normally you find out you have a workout, you fly out the day before the workout, you stay one night, you have the workout, either you get signed or you fly home. But because of COVID, I had to fly into Green Bay, I think 6 days before my workout. And this is like, I think my workout was scheduled for like December 27th. So I'm out in Green Bay at a hotel by myself for Christmas. Like, literally, I don't know one person there. You have to stay in the hotel. I don't have a car. Luckily, they were giving me money for the restaurant that was in the hotel. And luckily, the hotel was like beautiful. It was really nice. And the food was awesome and the staff was awesome. But so I'm in Green Bay by myself for 6 days. Just they gave me footballs. There was a little turf field in Titletown, USA, which is right by the stadium. So I'm out there literally punting, trying to stay ready for this workout with like 40 little kids playing backyard football, which was actually phenomenal. And it like brought me back to my youth. But
and you're in Green Bay over the holidays. It's definitely
Yes.
flurrying while you're punting. Like,
it's freezing cold. Like I don't have I don't have like any like the cold gear. I'm just out there freezing, but you have to stay ready. I can't just not punt for 6 days and then supposed to punt for this workout where it's like I'm on my last breath in the NFL. Like, I need to perform at this. So get through the 6 days, test negative, have my workout, and do well at the workout. And it's funny how this happens, but in the NFL, there's a workout list that goes out to all the teams. So each week, all 32 teams get a list of the names of guys who teams have brought in for a workout. So it seems like Arizona caught wind that I was in Green Bay working out. So they decided that they wanted to sign me to the practice squad. And so basically what I think Warren and Paul and the guys did was leverage that to kind of influence Green Bay to like make a decision quicker, because after the workout, they said, okay, you did well. We like you. We want to sign you, but probably next week. So I think they used that as leverage to say, okay, next week he might be signed. He might be in Arizona signing to them. So why don't you just sign him now? So basically sign me, and, I start practicing maybe a couple days later. It was after you guys played, actually. Did you guys play on a Thursday night football, right? Yeah. So I was out there. I was in Green Bay.
We didn't play Thursday night, but you were there in a hotel while we were playing.
I was there.
Yeah. It was a Sunday. It was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday night. So I was there.
It was before Christmas, I believe we played out there. Right before.
So then that was early in my stay then. But then, so that next week, I guess it was that Friday or Saturday, I signed to the practice squad, I think, before the Tennessee Titans game. That might have been week 16. So, yeah, just a crazy turn of events for me, like basically seeming like my time in the NFL, my time in football is over. I kind of accepted that. I was ready to transition to then being thrust back into the NFL locker room, back on the practice field where you're supposed to perform in front of everybody, the team, the scouts, the GM, everybody. So definitely an interesting fall for me, but very, pumped to have another opportunity. I feel like my time in Green Bay like reinvigorated my passion for football again, and like why I dealt with all the BS and why I've done this for the last 3 years and why I continue to pursue like where I'm trying to go, just because, it was awesome to be back in the locker room and be around the guys and to have that juice again to go out there and have to perform at a high level. So it was awesome.
It is unbelievable. The juice, the vibe of a locker room that comes back into you through you from being back in it, even though it was different this year with COVID. I thought this year was some of the most fun times I've had in the locker room. We were in a former wide receivers room, like right down the hall from the locker room. They spread us out. So like all the vets and the older guys were in our main locker room, every other locker. So they had half a locker room. So they put us all around and then moved the meeting rooms upstairs. So there were 6 of us in this little old receivers room. Go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say, were you guys, because I know what they did in Green Bay was they actually had guys meeting virtually. So instead of all the position players being in the room together, there would be like a running back in the lounge, there'd be a running back in the training room, and there'd be a running back in like some other little room. So I don't know if you guys did the same thing, but like that's COVID. Like that never happens. That's never happens ever.
No. So they gave you the option. And
Okay.
the nice thing was we were in our stadium. Our meetings happened in our stadium. So we were able to use so many different rooms. Like I had my own personal suite with my name on it, you know, like a little piece of paper over the whatever suite number. And you go there and you had to eat. Like when we were in like different protocols, like some of it was like normal protocol, like no one with COVID in the building. But once someone got COVID, you go to like in lockdown and you had to eat all meals in your room. You had to eat all your meals in your personal suite, which is like up on the 4th floor. Meetings were on the 3rd floor. And then luckily we're still able to meet as a tight end unit, because I don't know if I've been able to done virtual all the way through. I mean, it was okay, but it's really tough to like meet virtually and do what we do and not have actual like conversation, and like the coach is like glitching in and out, and like they can't hear what you're saying, and the coach is frustrated, you're frustrated. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, that was just like 30 minutes of the meeting went by and we just literally didn't get anything done. Now, I shouldn't say that. We always got stuff done, but it just felt like in person, obviously you could get so much more done than you're used to.
For sure. So. And I guess, so how was it like, were guys nervous about the virus in Carolina? Did you guys ever have an outbreak? And then also like, because you know how the locker normally is, you know, after practice, you'll have guys BSing, you'll have guys all in the tub. Like after practice is fun. That's like when you get to hang out and like talk to guys. How was it in the locker room in Carolina? Was it similar or was it way different? Were guys like, you know, taking everything seriously?
Well, I would say this, we had a couple different protocols based off how many times we had people in the building had it. I don't know if we had a pure outbreak. I'm sure our operations people could tell you differently, but I don't think we had a pure outbreak, but we had some instances where like some staff members had it, or maybe one player had it and a group of staff members had it, or the close contact thing is what just wiped out rooms. So Coach Rule likes to have like ping pong tables and basketball hoops and stuff in the locker room and stuff for people to do to like get closer and get together. The more you know your teammate, the better you're going to be as a team. It's pretty simple. And he's always believed in that. He did it at Temple. I know he did it at Baylor, and he's doing it in Carolina, and it's worked. We were a really close team last year, as much as you could be with COVID. So, guys wanted to BS and have a good time when they got in from practice, myself included, in the tubs, do all that. But, you know, you had to have a mask on. And then, like, everyone, like the people that would, like, enforce the mask stuff, like, they got their stuff going on and figure out after practice. So it was a group effort, and I think we bought in on it. And I don't think any player, or maybe a couple players missed some games here and there, but it wasn't catastrophic. It wasn't like Denver where that receiver was playing quarterback. That was crazy.
That was wild.
And it was different this year, right? For you guys, what did you see around the league, like punters and kickers and snappers wise? Because bigger practice squad. And also, like, if a punter gets sick or a kicker gets sick the day before the game, or they get contact traced, meaning they were within 6 feet of somebody and that person gets COVID, they're wiped out.
Yeah.
What was the difference this year in the NFL?
So that's one of the reasons why I was signed to the practice squad in the first place, was because Green Bay already locked up a playoff spot. So like a week or two before that, there was an incident in, I think, Jacksonville, where they basically had one of the specialists test positive, or maybe it was a false positive or something like that. So all 3 of them basically had to quarantine or had to retest. And this was 2 days before the game. And I think there was questions like, okay, we might have no specialist for the game, which is not good. Like that's
devastating.
Definitely, that's devastating. That's something you don't want to have happen. So I guess what kind of happened after that, it ended up being a false positive, and I think they luckily were able to sign a guy off the street to fill in for the punter, I think, who actually was the one who had it. But I guess what teams saw because of that situation, they basically need to have an insurance policy backup specialist on the practice squad to make sure that if something happens to like the specialists, and normally they're going to be contact tracing, they're going to be close together, just that's the nature of our position. They need to have somebody on the practice squad to potentially elevate if that happens. So I think that's why I was even signed to the practice squad in the first place, as basically an insurance policy in case something happened, especially during the playoff run. They would already have somebody in the system who kind of knows what's going on, who they've seen and they trust to be able to fill in, if that were to arise. So definitely a wacky year in terms of, specialists and special teams.
What are some things you're working on right now, training wise? Maybe something new or something you haven't done before?
Yeah. So I actually just punted yesterday for the first time since our last practice. So I took some time off. I feel like I'm kind of at the point where it's more like quality reps over quantity. And especially with, I guess, OTAs and the offseason kind of up in the air, like I didn't really see the need to like start kicking too early. You can't peak too soon. That's one of the phrases.
It is. Yeah.
So,
and is it like right? So some people will be like, whoa, that's weird, man. Right. The grinder's mentality. It's funny. The older you get, the less you grind and the more, well, you grind because it's your job and it's all day long, but you're just more, it's an acute approach. It's dialed in.
Yes.
I need to get X amount of reps, X amount of routes. I need to get 10 sprints instead of 1,000 because some kid showed up late to breakfast in college and you're there at 6 a.m. So you need to get yourself ready to go, but it's different. Is that your approach now? It's more or less is more in a way?
Absolutely. Less is more. And it's all about quality. Like I went out yesterday just trying to get my drop back in a spot that I want it to be. And a big thing I need to work on going into training camp is I need to get my handle time down. So this was never an issue for me, and it's still not an issue. It's just something I need to work on. I've always had like pretty good hands, and I've always had a quick get off. So for people who don't know, from the time a punter catches the ball to the time he kicks it, a coach expects that to be in the 1.2 second range. So, when I went to Green Bay, my times were kind of in the, mid 1.3s to high 1.3s. And I kind of have attributed that to like not getting complacent, but when you're not in a practice environment and you're not like with a team, and I'm just out at Sparks Field in Upper Dublin, like with somebody underhanding me the ball, you kind of like, it's not, I don't know, it's not getting lazy, but like you start to develop some different habits than you would if you were in practice every week, playing in a game every week. So that's something I need to definitely like kind of hone back in on, is like getting my operation time down. And then just the general basics, like being consistent with my direction, being consistent overall with like my distance and hang time kind of correlation. But yeah, just it was fun to be out there again and like to have a basically like reinvigorated purpose with like, okay, I need to start dialing in for training camp or OTAs or whenever we're in the building next.
I'm going to ask the same about your golf game. What are you working on to improve that golf game this spring?
So I have gotten a whole new golf bag. So next time we go out, you might see a different player out there.
Meaning you're going to be hooking into the woods and you just bet a couple grand on clubs?
No, never. But
my first shot with my new clubs was dead straight. Boom,
good.
Bomb. My next 10 were all in the woods, just like my old set. So I mean, it's a mess. When are we playing next? You got to come down.
Hey, I'm around.
Captain Cape May, you're going me.
Yeah. Cape May, Colin. You got a course down there or what?
Yeah, we like to play. Shout out to Wealth Advisory Services, one of our sponsors, Paul Krumanacker.
Yeah.
Paul's going to get it. He's a member at a country club down here, and we have to get out and play with them. The weather is turning in the Northeast, which is another thing that's fantastic.
Phenomenal.
We'll touch on the weather, though, real quick before I let you go.
Okay.
The weather in Green Bay, how does that affect punting? I know Chicago, Green Bay, Cleveland, they're tough places to kick. You kicked in Pittsburgh. How does that affect the ball, the averages, punters in general?
Yeah. So I would say so if there's a couple factors. First is like the wind. I would say Pittsburgh was a little bit more windy than Green Bay. And then Chicago was the most windy place I've probably punted. But Green Bay, I guess like the wind was somewhat of a factor, but the cold was definitely a factor. Like it was mid-January. It was, 20 degrees. Wind chill felt like 5. The ball is just like a rock hitting your foot. And there's just no pop on the ball. So you really have to you have to hit it clean. You have to be able to, hit a good ball and have it cut through the wind, because if it's cold like that and it's windy and you start mishitting the ball, that's just a recipe for like one of these like kind of duck floaters that like has no power on it. So, the cold was definitely a different type of cold than I've experienced. And it's one of those things where, I feel fortunate that I played in Heinz Field for 4 years, and I've kind of, played in some cold games. So that doesn't really affect me. Obviously growing up in the Northeast, and I know you played deep into the playoffs in high school, playing in Hershey in December as a teenager. I think that even helps. So, that's something that you just have to deal with and suck it up. But yeah, averages, if you're top third in the league in gross and net average in Green Bay or Chicago, like you're legit. You're a legit punter, because that the weather affects the numbers a bit for sure.
Who's the best punter in the NFL?
Who do I think the best is?
Yeah, well, who's this? Well, let me ask you this first. Who are punters that you like and relate to physically and respect their game? Because like for me,
Morstead.
I don't think the best punter and tight end in the NFL was Jason Witten at one point in time, but like I love watching Jason Witten play because you can relate to my game. So for you, go ahead.
Yeah. So I like Thomas Morstead, who's with the Saints. I think they actually released him, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Yep.
Just like he's so consistent, and he's so like, he just has like a very short steps. And I think his mechanics are just like something that I strive to be similar. I guess I look at his mechanics and say, okay, what can I take from that to apply to my own style of punting? Just Johnny Hecker. He's gotten a lot of press just because, he's had some unbelievable games. He's had a lot of success.
Trick plays. Can you throw like Hecker?
I think he's yes.
You can throw like Hecker?
I can throw similar to Hecker, correct? Yes.
Do they know that in Green Bay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is an alert to the NFL next year. If Ryan Winslow wins a job, you better drop into your zone coverages.
Yeah, but that's not. Yeah, if anybody would watch my college film, they would know that I had a couple trick plays, success under my belt through a touchdown. So
before we let you roll here, let's talk through those. Please talk through those.
Okay, so my first one was my sophomore year against Syracuse. In the fourth quarter, we're driving. We kind of stall out. I think the game's tied. We have this play that we designed. Well, you know how it is. Every week, a coach usually has a fake drawn up to potentially go into the game. But
if they don't go in, they're practiced like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and then they're like, all right, it's up and ready. Yeah,
correct. So that's basically what happened. We had this dialed up, and it was hot for the game. We saw something that we liked on film, and it was basically like, okay, we're running this this week. It just so happened that it was late in the game, the fourth quarter, when the game's tied, where we ran it. And so basically I had 3 options. I caught the ball, rolled to my right. I had our PP in the flat, who was also my boy and also Philly guy, Matt Galambos.
There he is.
I had him in the flat. I had him in the flat for like a pass. I had another guy, George Aston, on like a post route deeper down the field, or I could run it or I could punt it. So basically roll to my right. There's one like defensive flat player who's like kind of playing both sides. So at first I'd tuck it because I thought I was going to run it. And then he came up to tackle me, and I just like kind of flicked it and dumped it over the top to Galambos for a first down. So that was my first one.
The Philly connection.
Philly connection. Yeah, that was awesome. We ended up kicking a game winner that game. We beat Syracuse. So that was awesome. I think the next year, I attempted another. We had another fake against Miami where we were in the pooch area, and the jammers, the vice guy, basically would run with our gunner for only like 20 yards, and then he would just bail. So we had a fake on where I would like pretend like I'm punting, pull it, and then throw it deep. And we ran it the first punt of the game in the first quarter. And of course, the jammer ran with our gunner the whole time. And I floated one out there. It wasn't in like, I think it was catchable, but he was like heavily guarded, and it kind of like hit him in the side, and the defender kind of brushed it away. So it was incomplete. Then we'll
go to the film on that. We may have to pull that up.
We might have to. I wonder if that's out there somewhere. It should be. But then my senior year at Virginia Tech, we had a fake field goal call. We had like a mismatched formation where we had the line of scrimmage shifted to the left. Only on the line of scrimmage there was like a snapper and a running back 5 yards behind him, and then the rest of the line of scrimmage was off to the left, where I was standing on the side of it. And so the snapper snapped it to the running back. He rolled left. I trailed behind him. So he rolled left. I rolled right. He shovel passed it to me. And then I rolled to my right and had like a couple throwing options. Ended up throwing it to the long snapper who was eligible for a touchdown. So that's like 2 for 3. That's 2 for 3 on like plays where I've thrown the ball downfield, which is a solid percentage.
And you say 3 for 3 because, 3 for 3 because you said you put that one on the money. So we're going to try to pull that up and attach that to this video because we're going to put you on blast.
I threw it to Jordan Whitehead, who, shout out to Jay White. He just won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's one of their starting safeties.
Is he the longer guy?
No, he's shorter, stocky dude, comes up and like is a pretty hard hitter. He forced our running back, the Packers, to fumble.
Was it the guy I scored on, or was it the guy I scored on, or no?
I know. Okay, I see you. I don't know.
Whoa. No, I didn't score on anybody.
He's number 31. Hey, you did. You had a touchdown this year.
I know I did, believe it or not. Who's the Winfield Jr. I didn't really score on really anybody. Like I just bluffed and was wide open and like let's be honest. Like,
phenomenal play though. Phenomenal play call.
Thank you. Like it's a great play call. I just ended up just following exactly what they told me to do. And yeah, it's not that fancy, but how I am, kid. I'm not too fancy. I'm pretty straightforward.
100%.
Pretty straightforward. Well,
good, dude.
The great Ryan Winslow, Green Bay Packer, quarantine, missed Christmas. What a legend move.
Out, though. I'm happy. I'm happy to be in the spot I am. Very fortunate. Look at you, dude. Get a whole season under your belt. You're going to get married. Oh, my gosh.
Crazy.
I can't wait for that wedding. I can't wait. Hey, also, thank you for giving me that invite, too. I'm pumped.
I know, man. Listen, you get invited on the podcast. It's hard to get on the podcast and get into the wedding.
Also, I think I'm a recurring guest. I was on this when we were in the AAF. It just wasn't video one. I think I just called in and we talked about March Madness. So
I think that was the old Business of Sports Insider we had going for a little bit there. But yeah, we're back on the Not for Long media. We're really dialed into this one. This is the one I started when I was with the Giants. Got cut from the Giants, and I didn't know what to do with my life. And I had a podcast when no one had a podcast, and now I have a podcast when it seems like everybody has a podcast. So
everybody,
but not everyone's had Ryan Winslow on. So
no,
not at all. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you joining us. Well, that does it for the Ryan Winslow interview. I hope you enjoyed the LaSalle graduate, the Pitt Panther graduate, and the NFL, AAF. You learned about his arm. You saw on our social media as well. He's got some fake punts up there. He's crafty. I put the NFL on watch now. So when he makes the Packers next year, I'm going to be letting every special team, my special teams coach, if we play the Packers, that, hey, listen, this guy can throw it. So, he's got a pretty good arm, Justin. How about that video on social media? Not bad.
Yeah, he's got a cannon.
Rolling right, throwing down the seam. I mean, that's like throwing across your body. Not bad, but he's got the build for it. He's a big old boy. He's like 6'6". He hits the golf ball a mile. I got to play golf with him a couple of times. He's a great guy, and we're represented by the same people at Pro Star Sports. Shout out to Paul and Warren there and John. So I'm very lucky to work with them and then get to know Ryan throughout the years, and just a great guy. He's got some awesome stories. The one I enjoyed the most, Jay, is the one when he's in Green Bay. Like, I get his picture of the snow falling. He's quarantined. They drop off a couple footballs. They give him a couple eggs and some toast for breakfast, and then he's got to go out and punt because in 3 days he's got the most important interview of his life with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, just spectacular. And the kids are out there running around, and he's just like dropping bombs all over the place, just crushing the football because he's got such a huge leg. So that was so interesting. It just shows the sacrifice that a lot of guys make to get into the league. And he was considering taking another job and starting work, and my agent telling him, hey, don't do it. You still got a chance. So shout out to him. Ryan's a great guy and really lucky to know him. But guys, before you go, check out our sponsors, Cape May Brewing Company, Ryan Krill and his group over there. They're awesome in the community. They make an unbelievably high quality product, and we're lucky to have them a part of our team here at Not For Long Media. Original Fudge Kitchen, the best. Ship it across the country, right to your house. Great gift. And then Wealth Advisory Services, wealthadvisoryservices.com. Check them out. Personalized approach to managing your wealth. So that does it for episode 8 of Not For Long Media. A lot of great things to look forward to, guys. A lot of fun stuff ahead. Check us out on social media because we're doing a lot of giveaways. We're getting you guys involved in what we're doing. And again, we appreciate your support. And that does it for episode 8. Thanks.